when the moon is in the seventh house and Jupiter aligns with Mars, then peace will rule the planet and love will steer the stars. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. The age of Aquarius. Okay, all right, sorry. I just had to get that out because the sun is moving into Libra on September 23rd, and Libra rules the 7th house, and Mars is going to move into Virgo on the 24th. And guess what else is in Virgo? Jupiter. So Jupiter is going to align with Mars this month. Isn't that awesome? So I had to sing that because even though it's, the moon, well, yeah. Okay, don't worry about it. Okay, September 23rd, with the sun in Libra, we can focus on our relationships a lot better. And that includes the relationships that are not just our partnerships, but any one-on-one situation kind of relationship. And there may be some open enemies that really come to light, and you can hopefully resolve some conflict this month. And you can probably have more energy when it comes to one-on-one situations and be more understanding in any one-on-one situation because you'll be able to put yourself in other people's shoes a lot easier. So this is good. This is good stuff right here. Okay? Okay, then Mars moves into Virgo the very next day. And so we can get more stuff done and we can take care of the details. But try not to be too reckless with the details because Mars is kind of more assertive and kind of blunt sometimes. And, it can, with Virgo involved, it can get nitpicky about the details even, or even critical, and that could happen. But it's awesome for getting going with exercise, especially because you'll have more energy and you might be able to find more time in your schedule to get that going, get going. So it's really, taking care of any of the daily responsibilities is going to be easier. You're going to have more energy to do it. And the only thing you really have to watch out for is if you're overworking yourself or not expending enough energy, then you may get sick because Mars kind of, I think, is associated with illness and Virgo is associated with health. So just make sure that you're taking care of yourself as well as getting stuff done and exercising, which kind of all rolls into one. So, yeah. And then on the same day, September 24th, that is, Pluto goes direct in Capricorn. So there may be some stuff that comes up from under the surface that needs to be dealt with, especially all at once, because when a planet goes direct, it's stationary for a bit of time. And so it puts a lot of emphasis on that planet because it's like, there it is, staying in one spot, just forcing you to deal with whatever it is that you have not dealt with, because Pluto is all about that stuff. Anything you put away for later, Pluto's like, let's dig it up. All right? Especially when it comes to our careers. And also could be about how we feel about authority figures even, or about the systems that rule our world. Okay. So, just know that some things will be revealed and be prepared for transformation and for dealing with the crap that you haven't dealt with. And then September 27th, there's a full moon total lunar eclipse in Aries. I only brushed on this in the last video. So Aries is the self. It's who you are, what you identify with. It's also your ego, and also can be about action. Aries is very much about action. So there could be things that you've been thinking about for a long time. And at this full moon, it could be a time to really let go of old things that you haven't gotten done. You know what I mean? Like anything you've been procrastinating on that you just really don't want to do, you can just go ahead and cross that off and either, discard it or put it away for later. But now you can really find what it is that you want to do, what you want to focus on and get done, where you want to take some action. And really, it can also be revealing about who you are and what traits you want to let go of and who you want to become too. So, I mean, those are kind of go hand in hand in some ways because, you are what you do to some degree. And, who you are gets expressed by what you do. You know what I mean? Actions speak louder than words, that kind of thing. So anyway, that's kind of, yeah. All right, and then on October 8th, Venus moves into Virgo. So this is actually great for creating more harmony in whatever work that you do, and you're likely to be more giving in your relationships and be more serving in your relationships. And it's also good for making your daily routine more beautiful in some way, more harmonious, desirable. Maybe you'll add more creative flair to your daily routine. And it can also be a time where you care more about how you look and your physical self. So that could be like how you look could be a motivator for you into like why you want to be healthier or something. So with Venus and Virgo, one thing you should watch out for is perfectionism, because Venus really cares about beauty and perfection, and Virgo is a perfectionist and can focus too much on flaws and details and stuff like that. So don't be too self-critical either, and be gentle with yourself, and make sure to just go with the flow. Venus will enjoy going with the flow a bit more. And the relations you have in the workplace could get better, and just watch out for any office romances. That could be either good or bad depending on where you work. So that could be something that happens though. And yeah, I guess that's it. And then October 9th, Mercury goes direct in Libra. So anything that was not said, perhaps, or missaid, perhaps, or during the retrograde, you may have to go over those things once more and reiterate about what you really meant, or maybe even kind of could even be that a lot of new information comes in at you pretty quickly about either relationships or even just about other people in your life, or even just generally new information coming in. And so because during the retrograde, processing some information and also revisiting old issues and talking about old issues and kind of going through stuff like that. Now that it goes direct, it's like, okay, we can get back on track and get back to business. And so new information could come in at the same time, because I don't know why. That's just what I thought of, okay? All right. On October 10th, the South Node moves into Pisces and the North Node moves into Virgo. And this is a pretty big deal because this only happens about every 18 months or so, or a year and a half or something like that, maybe. I think that might be right. I don't know. But what I do know is that the South Node in Pisces could be about overcoming a tendency to be a martyr and to take on other people's pain and take on other people in general, like take on other people's traits or not being yourself kind of thing. You have to kind of let go of those tendencies of being too selfless and to the point where you're hurting yourself. And with the North Node and Virgo, it's about service, but not to the point of where you're hurting yourself, because it's also about your health and taking care of yourself and making sure you have plenty of energy before you take care of others. So what's kind of interesting about these two signs is that, well, you know how there's a whole, like the whole wheel, right? It all starts with Aries, the sign of the self, and then, you know, halfway through there's Libra, the sign of others. Well, now we're moving into service to others and also employment and your health and your daily responsibilities and all of that kind of thing. And then the last sign of the zodiac is where the South Node is moved into, Pisces. And Pisces is about everybody. It's about the entire collection of in this entire universe, if you want to go that far, or whatever, you know? So the entire collection, the entire beingness of life, the entirety of it all. So yeah, it's kind of cool because even though Virgo is on the self kind of focus in a way, well, I mean, it's still kind of, yeah, it is about others, I guess, though. Actually, it starts kind of being about others, like, right at the 4th house. But there's still kind of a sense of being in touch with yourself still before you get completely selfless when you get to Pisces, you know? So there is that sense of needing to kind of take care of yourself first at the same time as helping others. You know, being there for the people who need you still, but not to the point where you are wrecking yourself or like just absorbing everything around you, that kind of thing. It's about creating some boundaries, but at the same time being there, you know? So, yeah. And then on October 12th, there's a new moon in Libra. So, new beginnings in relationships, and it can be a fresh start, or could be even like dealing with kind of like old stuff that you haven't dealt with, but letting go of that old stuff so that you can start fresh and being able to really feel more in alignment in your relationships and making sure there's a balance between yourself and the other person, and also a balance between your physical self and who you are and your emotional self and how you feel. So that could be like an alignment of that kind of stuff, and also being more aware of more than one side of the picture and being able to look at things in a both rational but emotional, and kind of look at, like, you know, weighing out all sides of the spectrum, but especially when it comes to like your emotions and like your rationality or your sense of intellectual understanding, or being able to be somewhat objective and subjective at the same time, because that's kind of how Libra is. You know, they can become very subjective in some ways, but they can be very objective at the same time. Like they can kind of like jump from being to being in a way where they empathize really easily with one person, and they become very subjective about what's going on in that person's life, and then they're like, okay, whoo, you know, like, okay, step back. And then they kind of weigh it out in their mind, and then they go to this other person and they get very subjective about what's going on with this person, and they're like, oh wow, you know, whoa, okay. And then they kind of step back and they look at the whole picture. After all that subjectivity happens, they kind of weigh out everything that they just learned. So yeah, I guess that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will be back in about either less than a month or about a month. So have a good time.